Right. So I think I get the honor of introducing someone who needs no introduction, Dr. Emil Jat. So I think I can go backwards for a few minutes since we're looking back to move forward together. I think that I feel like I've always known Emil Jat. Like he once said, we're hard-charging agronomists together, trying to make a difference. And I've always been in his footsteps pretty much. I tried to show earlier a little slide of him years ago showing me in Hiriani the difference they're making in terms of residues. But really, Emil Jat has been a pioneer in conservation agriculture. He's brought more resilient and profitable farming. And I'm not just saying those words. He's made a difference in millions of farmers' lives. He's a leader who has brought alternative tillage, crop establishment, and sustainable residue management to the Indigenetic Plains, which is one of the more sustainability challenged, but also inspiring examples for the world, and that farmers there have beautiful tractors and are really good livelihoods. But there's been this issue of using fossil water. And in fact, his work with his team has made a difference. First, there was a laser land leveling revolution, which I've never forgotten you showing me, Emil Jat. I still have that video on my phone somewhere, just those little service providers leveling land. That went from no one doing it, and I know people told you it was impossible, to now there's some 40,000 service providers, some of them going to farmers every couple of years and helping them have laser level their land. Now you might think, what has that got to do with conservation? Well, that is the foundation to then do more sustainable intensification and resource conservation agriculture, as you knew, to build those chains and to do the science, but then also this impact pathways that you have led for all of us, is why I was so excited when I took on this position as program director, that I get to work with you. And really, it will always be a highlight of my life that one of the first things I got to do in this role was to go with you to the Indigenetic Plain, to Hiriani, to Punjab, and really see what's going on again in your some 13 years at CIMMYT. Now, I am very sad you're leaving a huge hole. Luckily, there's people that you have mentored, like Mahesh, to step in, and your whole network in India and Nepal, in Bangladesh. We will all strive our best. The only consolation, I think we all know, is that you are moving on and are taking up this really important job, leading the Resilience Drylands group at ICRISAT. And I really look forward to working with you there. And we will continue, as you said, this journey moving forward together. But thank you from the bottom of my heart. You are my favorite agronomist. Don't tell anyone. And I'm very sad you're leaving, but we'll get through this, and I look forward to learning the lessons today. Thank you. Go ahead. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Sig, for your kind words, very encouraging words, as always. And also this opportunity to little look back to move forward. And so this is not a kind of technical presentation, just reminding myself, at least, where we started, how we started, where we reached, and what's the way forward. So that's how I chose this topic. To start with, when I see CIMMYT, CIMMYT is just not an institution. CIMMYT is a temple, it's a church, it's a gurudwara, it's a mosque for worship, because work is worship. CIMMYT is a family, and a large family. You can see it, and I'm so fortunate to be surrounded by all the family members, and I'm in the middle of the family. So I was so lucky to be there as a member of this family, a great family. Also, I started formally working with CIMMYT in 2009, but I think I started before that as a collaborator when we had Rice Wheat Consortium in 2004. So it was much before I joined CIMMYT. And my first visit in CIMMYT was in April 2006, when Brahm took me and showed me the long-term trials, long-term experiments on conservation agriculture. That's how I got more enthusiasm towards CIMMYT, to work with CIMMYT, to work on conservation agriculture. So that was a kind of spark, a motivational point. Before I move on, I would like to remember the gurus, because in our tradition, especially the Indian tradition, the gurus are, or the mentors are, kept even above the gods. So gurus are important. And to start with, look at my guru, Ken Sayer, who is teaching us in the field, myself, Mahesh, and just beside Mahesh Ravi Gopal. And that's how we are fortunate to learn conservation agriculture with the gurus. The guru, Dr. Raj Gupta, who is again teaching us in the field, and also is fortunate to have John Lenders, the Order of British Empire, a guru on conservation agriculture. So learn those things from those gurus. Also the gurus are farmers. I think we learn a lot from the farmers, innovative farmers. And this farmer who worked with Dr. Borlaug was a guru. So I think the gurus of the gurus, I think gurus, and that's how we learned a lot of conservation agriculture all across. Also, I think my love, passion for Africa, and thanks to the maize program, when in 2008, I was given the opportunity when Marian was director of the maize program, and Dr. Jayadi was just joined, my friend joined CIMMYT in maize program, and I was given an opportunity. I went to Africa, and that's how I got a lot of love for Africa and maize. Wheat, I'm in the middle of wheat field when you were there in Punjab, a beautiful wheat field, because wheat is in my blood. I eat wheat and I love wheat. So that's how, again, another passion to work with CIMMYT. I think that's something important. This, you can see all people, Tom Lumpkin, Raj Gupta, and I think that was the point when Tom spotted me at that field of conservation agriculture in ICR's Maize Institute in Delhi when I was working there in 2008. So he identified that time, and certainly he picked me up. That's how he started. I was also fortunate to work with the great leaders, leaders who were always on the back and encouraged you to lead. And you can see this picture. The leaders are on the back and they're pushing us, forward. And on back of that, my good friend Sidhu, who just to make sure that we are moving forward. I also started and got a passion to work with conservation agriculture toys and spending quality time in the fields with the farmers. And that's how I started. See, you mentioned about laser leveling, and this picture is of 2009. Still, we were pushing. I think now it's moving at its own. But I think we learned a lot from the farmers, sitting with them, learning what is the problem. So I would like to say that I learned more with the farmers in the fields, which you say living laboratories. I think those are the living laboratories. Then what I learned through the books or the lecture rooms. So the farmers or farmer fields are our living labs. I was also fortunate to, got opportunity to learn from the champions like Dr. Malik, Dr. Akim Doberman and others. I cannot put everyone, but I think I was fortunate enough to learn from those champions. I would say I got, love at the first sight with the great mentor Bruno when we met first time in mid hills of the Palpa, Andy and myself together. And that's how we started discussing with Bruno, why don't you come and lead us? And that was the starting point. And that's how Bruno joined and, keep mentoring us. Love you, Bruno. I think I was also fortunate, and in CIMMYT in general, that we got appreciations for the system science. And you can see on the left side, the Hans Brown and Bruno together, looking at it's not a wheat field, it's not a breeding trial, but it's a systems agronomy. And there are a lot of appreciation for the system science. And on the right side, the Tony Fisher in the fields and the agronomy. So I think there was a lot of appreciation. There is a lot of appreciation for system science at CIMMYT, and that's how we are fortunate. I think that's something very, very strong, strength at this CIMMYT. I was also fortunate to work with the Iron Lady, Marian Banjigar. learn a lot. We've been, working together, and I think great learnings, all across, during Marian's time. I didn't put any title to this slide because, it speaks a volume. You can see the Martin, Keen, working together in the fields. And I was also fortunate to have all the director generals of CIMMYT and ICAR, everyone in the fields where we were working on those living laboratories. And I think that was encouraged us to work more, have more dedication. As I said, I've been so fortunate to work with the great leaders. The new program leadership, when we got the Sustainable Agri-Food Systems program, got all the encouragements and support for the new science ideas and the partnership. And you can hear what Sieg was saying. And Sieg was there in the field, pushed and encouraged for the new ideas like carbon credits for the regenerative agriculture. I think some of those ideas, and that's how you move forward. So I was so fortunate to be there to work with and all across all other stakeholders, the multi-stakeholder partnership. You can see all the logos sitting on that banner on the back. So that's how we could succeed. This is something important to mention, that I'm lucky to have a cycle completed, a very productive cycle completed with the young and dynamic leadership. As I said, Bram, we became friends when I was at Mexico, and he took me to the fields. Then we became the collaborators when I was working with the ICRISAT and doing some of the green seeker trainings in India together. Then we became colleagues when I joined CIMMYT, and Bram was working there. Then Bram became the director of our program. Then he became DDG, and then he became the DG. And from there, again, we are become the collaborators and the friends when I'm at ICRISAT. So I think that's a complete cycle. So I am so lucky that I got this complete cycle. And I think this is very productive cycle. Something on BISA, and I think I got my passion and heart for the BISA. And I would say the Rome was not built overnight. And you can see this picture in 2013, we were running a training course for the farmers at BISA Jabalpur, and you can see that training hall on this side, what kind of situation we are. Still, we were working because we got a passion to work, and that's how we started establishing. And I would say that if there is a will, there is a way. You can do it. And this picture we took on 5th of June 2012 at BISA Ludhiana, running an international training course on conservation agriculture under a tree. And that's how we started. We can see now where we reached. So I think that's a long journey and very productive journey. We launched, so many things. We talk about digital ag and other things. So, CIMMYT board was there in the fields close to BISA in Punjab and launching a green seeker application for Android phones. So I think that's how we moved, from those trees to these advancements. Also, so happy to see that science is connecting to the policy. And this is a picture taken in March 2016 when Chief Minister of Bihar visited BISA Ludhiana and also the long-term trials on conservation agriculture, those living laboratories, and the climate smart villages. And that's how this big program on climate resilient agriculture in Bihar was started. That was the starting point because the Chief Minister got excited, and then we started building that program. So happy that that program is moving and moving more strongly and making an impact. And I think, he's appreciating all the time. I was so lucky to have a lot of ups and downs all across my journey at CIMMYT. And I think if there are no ups and downs in our life, it means we are dead, and we don't want to be dead. So the ups and downs are really important. So my special thanks to all who have contributed to those downs, as ups are very easy to get. So my sincere thanks to all those who have contributed. Also, I would like to mention this, quote from the Winston Churchill, that success is not final. The failure is not fatal. it is the courage to continue that counts. So I think that's something very, very important. But despite all those things, I think science continued. The science output have grown linearly. And you can see the science citations. When I joined CIMMYT, I was almost 0. And you can see this graph. So that's a contribution of the CIMMYT and CIMMYT team and CIMMYT partners, that how we have grown in science. And together, over those 12, 13 years, we could publish 200, almost 200, high quality publications with CIMMYT. We got more than 12,000, citations, and you can see the H index and all those things. That speaks what kind of science we have done in CIMMYT over past, 12, 13 years. Some of the significant, I cannot mention everything, but there are some significant science outcomes and impacts, and I think our science evidence-based policy-led impacts were documented and reported through several, OICRs, highlighted by the CGIAR and every level, and which are well documented. I think we could mainstream the science of farming systems in the national programs, especially in India, which is appreciated at all the levels. My sincere thanks to Santiago and Jerun and also the ICR and others who really steered this and helped us in mainstreaming the science of farming system. And you can see them running those training courses, long back, and that's how we started. There are several new proofs of the concepts. When we talk about carbon credit or subsurface drip fertigation, we got a concept on reversal of the yield dilution theory or G by E by M. A lot of those things and decision tools on, those were released long back in 2013 by the ICR and the CIMMYT's leadership. And I think the ICR's leadership was appreciative of all the work what was happening, and that's how it led to the impacts and mainstreamed in the program. Also, I could contribute a bit in CIMMYT's footprints in the newer geographies. For example, Siwana. I think we got a program now in Siwana. We started working, few years back through wheat CRP, but then now we are expanding. I think that's another satisfying output for myself. I really never attempted a helicopter research. You might have read this editorial in Nature about the helicopter research. But I think we always try to work with research with the local context and keep partners first. I think that's what is something very, very important. So think globally, but act locally. I think that's a philosophy, and that helps us. That helps us in moving forward. Also, I think we were so fortunate to have a great support from the communications and the communications team at this CIMMYT, because communicate is the way to reach and convince people. I think we could do a lot of communications together, whether the international or national media or through CIMMYT communication channels or social media. A lot of press conferences. One of the article we published in Science on crop residue burning, and Dr. Mahapatra at that time, DG ICR, had a press conference, and it was highlighted by around 70 media houses globally. So I think that helps. We had a lot of policy dialogues and policy briefs, which helped stakeholder consultations and of course the science publications. So communication was key, and I think that was on the forefront. As I said, the strong partnership landscape we always had, and were so happy to have that strong network of the partnerships, and that's how we could do whatever we have done because of that strong partnership. We are few people, but then we have a long network of the partnership, which is something very, very important. We had a strong focus on the capacity development at CIMMYT Academy. And I think one of the things what we did was advanced course on conservation agriculture. It started in South Asia, expanded to Asia, and then to North Africa. 150 plus researchers were trained through those advanced courses over, we organized until last year. So we started in 2010. We continued over, until 2021, and I hope we'll continue. Only 1 year in 2020, we could not organize because of the COVID. We had this farming system design courses, 150 plus people trained, the researchers from the national system, there were several short courses and more than 500 research and extension agents trained. I was so happy to have 40 students all across the world and the interns and of course, thousands of the farmers and other stakeholders. But then you can see this global map, that's where our trainees were coming. So I think we got a lot of footprint through capacity development. And the most satisfying thing was when we were together in Iran in 2017, we could see the people, sitting on both sides of me and Dr. Sidhu, were doing this conservation agriculture at a scale, who all were part of our conservation agriculture training program. That was so satisfying. So with this, a brief, looking back, I think, moving forward together and how we do, why we, do. And in that context, I feel like the drylands are critical for achieving the sustainable development goals, because the world's drylands forms an extensive biome covering almost 45% of the terrestrial surface area, which support 3 billion people, half of the livestock, 1.5 billion livestock population. That's why the drylands are really critical for achieving the sustainable development goals. Also, it's a home for majority of the world's poor, where nearly 16% people lives under chronic poverty. I think that's why we need to support. And we have left with only 8 annual harvests to achieve those sustainable development goals by 2030. So we need to move faster for sustainable intensification and enhanced resilience of the drylands for greening the grass for our secured future. I think that's something important. And that's why we together got our shared vision and joint actions for our complementing missions in CIMMYT and ICRISAT. And our mission is overcoming poverty and hunger, reducing the malnutrition, preventing environmental degradation, and empowering women and youth. And I think we both, CIMMYT and ICRISAT, got that mission. And in terms of the geographies, we got our complementing geographies. You can see this map where we work. And I think that's where CIMMYT works. So I think we can put our heads together and move forward. We got 3 global programs: Resilient Farms and Food Systems Program, Enabling System Transformation Program, and Accelerated Crop Improvement Program. And I think I put together these 2 programs of ICRISAT are even not equal to SAS, but all the elements are linked to the Sustainable Agri-Food Systems program of CIMMYT. So we need to move forward and move forward together. So as I said, the Sustainable Agri-Food Systems Program and the Resilient Farms and Food Systems Program of ICRISAT are aligned together. There are a lot of complementarities, maybe on one side more, on one side less, but there are a whole lot of complementarities, because I see the strength in the CIMMYT's Agri-Food Systems Program, but also there are some good and stronger elements at Resilient Farm and Food Systems Program, where we got 5 clusters and a global cluster. They are focused on the climate adaptation and mitigation science, the landscape, soil health and water science, the geospatial and big data science, which got a strong program. Also on digital agriculture, there is a strong program. And of course, the ICRISAT Development Center, which is primarily, focused as of now in India, but we are expanding. And to move forward, thanks team for sharing this picture. We had a meeting together between the CIMMYT and ICRISAT, colleagues this afternoon, that how we work together and move forward. So I think with this, thank you so much for this opportunity. We are celebrating 50 years of ICRISAT. And I urge you, request you, please join us and let's work together and let's celebrate the 50 years of the organization and work together. Thank you so much.
Well, I just want to say this has just been an amazing journey together. Thank you for taking us through memory lane, showing the deep roots that ICRISAT and CIMMYT have, that you have, all of the gurus, as you said, along the way. That was very impressive. Can we do a little hand? I know it's hard virtually, but let's try here, folks. You have almost 100 people have signed on at various times. I think that again shows your huge fan base. And I put in the chat, I hope everyone can see this, there is an actual virtual farewell where we can tell stories about you, Emil, and really wish you well properly. And there's also like a short video from ICIRR and others that I want to share at that point. I look forward to doing that. So please join us on Thursday. So that's a few days. And you can always reach out to me, anyone who didn't receive that. I think I'll put it in the chat again in case you join later. So any comments on this amazing presentation? Please feel free to share. So I see from Allison, what is your advice for the next generation of crop scientists, ML? I think that's a really good, I don't know if you can see that in the chat. Please, ML, tell us.
Thank you, Bram.
Did you see the question, ML, in the chat about what's your advice for the next generation of crop scientists?
I think there are not questions, all the appreciations, good words, kind words, encouragement from everyone. I think we keep our foot at the ground and eyes on the sky. That's the only way forward.
I appreciate your points about the ups and downs. I think when we're grad students, people just starting out, early career researchers, get very discouraged sometimes, but it's all part of the journey, right? Absolutely. Those are very wise words. And that's how we learn together. And I don't know about you, but I agree. The gurus, the farmers, they're the ones that are most resilient, that can then teach us so much. So in terms of some of your first ideas for your new role at ICRISAT, it was nice the connections you've made with the SAS and where you work. Can you?
Yeah, see,
what are your priorities? Go ahead.
Yeah, we discussed quite a few ideas already. Even this afternoon we had meeting with Tim and Mahesh and Stephanie and Don, myself, Shalender, about this whole farm modeling work and integrating the two models, bringing the sustainability and the nutrition aspect. So we had really great discussion around. Also, I think we discussed together about this farming system design, and we are going to have that in November. Continue working, since this is my 9th day. So I've been exploring, and there are real great elements, on our work, what we discussed on the carbon. There are a lot of people working around, so we need to put those elements together. We had discussions with Vijay's and our enabling system transformation director here in ICRISAT, and also Shalender, who got a lot of good work. So we discussed those together. There are so many things I think we can complement and work together. I think expanding the reach in the rain-fed areas or drylands for sustainable intensification or conservation agriculture together is I feel like maybe in immediate action we can take. Even when we had a meeting with ICARS DDG, Natural Resource Management, when Andy, Tim, Peter, myself, everyone were together. and we were discussing TAPSA. So, he said that you have left the most important part in southern side, which is more of a dryland system. And then we indicated, no, we got a plan to work together and we are expanding. So I see, and also see lot of, this digital ag cluster. I think there are so many elements. I think we can work together and strengthen, and at the same time, the geospatial and big data, cluster. There are a lot of elements where we can complement, and there is a modeling group. So, so many things. I think we can start one by one, wherever we feel like yes, these are the areas, and we can complement. I think we should we can start. And I was talking, and I think others were talking. Mahesh also had a discussion. Even the leadership at ICR, they are also indicating similar things that let's strengthen. And even in last year's ICR CG interface, the emphasis from ICR was like, let's work and push conservation agriculture in the rain-fed areas. So, we were discussing, how we work, in those rain-fed areas. But I think we together can make that happen. So there are so many things.
Yes, you have a huge responsibility. Some of the most marginalized people in the world live in these really, resilient. We want to try and support them to be resilient, but marginal lands that ICRISAT is particularly responsible for in the semi-arid tropics. So really look forward. I want to have you absolutely still as part of my team on my speed dial, and I am there for you as well. As you know, I've worked with particularly the groups you talked about, the digital remote sensing. Alone, we can't do this. It really does take a village, and I absolutely count ICRISAT as part of that village, and your leadership there, I think, will be a great boon for them at this really critical time. So I want to thank you again for leading us through this 13-year journey at CIMMYT. Thank you for all you've done for CIMMYT and for the farmers, and for the science of conservation agriculture, really making it evidence-based. There is so much more that we get to still do together. And it's just been a pleasure working with you and Sidhu and your team and learning from you all these years. So I think that we can wrap this up, and everyone who has further things to comment, please come on Thursday, and we will look forward to seeing you. Sidhu, nice to see you. Thank you again for that journey, because conservation agriculture and sustainable intensification are really what farmers need to do environmentally sound and resilient farming. And so you have led the way in one of the more challenging environments of South Asia. So thanks again for all you've done, ML.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. As I indicated in my mail, it's not a separation. It's a stronger bonding, where you realize the value when we move a little farther away, and then you come more closer. And that's what I feel.
Yes, also me. Thank you again. This is it's been a huge pleasure knowing you all these years. And we will all continue to keep learning together. Thanks everyone for showing up today, and see you down the road. And I will be with you in person in Hyderabad in November, I promise. And also see you on Thursday virtually. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for all
Thanks,
your
Mel.
good
Bye-bye.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All the
Bye-bye.
best.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Paji.
Bye. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Now.
Bye, Mel.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much.